Okay, everyone, welcome back to part two of the week one lecture for SAT Math. Jumping straight in, pretty much same thing as last week, except linear equation with two variables this time. So first question, we have perpendicular lines. Now, this question in particular can get a little bit tricky simply because we're working with an ax plus by equals 1. And if you're not really too sure what to do with these constants, it can get pretty tricky to solve. But essentially, you just look for the slope for the first one. So we have 2x plus 9y. You just solve to isolate the y, and you'll end up with negative 2 over 9x, which is our slope. And you can do the same thing for the ax plus by equals 1. Just solve for y. And you'll end up with negative a over bx. And that will be our slope as well. And again, for perpendicular lines, you need that negative reciprocal. So that means the negative reciprocal of a over b is negative 9 over 2. It's negative, so it can get a little bit confusing. But don't worry about that too much. Just know that negative a over b is, again, positive 9 over 2. And then simply because of time, I'm just going to go over the correct answer. So we're going to want to look for, again, a pair of systems or lines that can match our slope based on a over b. Now, we have 4x plus 9y equals 1, and you'll solve for y, and you'll end up with negative 4 over 9x. That's our slope. The y-intercept doesn't really matter too much here, only for perpendicular lines. And then, again, you have ax plus 2by equals 1 instead, and you'll end up with y equals negative a over 2bx. So keep that in mind. When you have that a over b, or it can be negative a over b equals 9 over 2, also equals that negative a over 2b equals 9 over 4. So again, think about multiplying the a over b times 1/2, and you'll end up with the same answer that matches based on the a over b. If that's a little bit confusing, you can leave a comment down below. I can explain a little more. But essentially, you have that a over b equals negative 9 over 2. I didn't write it. That's a mistake on my part. But we have a over 2b equals negative 9 over 4. Again, if you just multiply a over b times 1/2 to match that a over 2b, you'll end up with 9 over 4, which matches that answer perfectly, which is why this is the correct answer, and this is the set of perpendicular lines. Okay, parallel lines, much simpler than perpendicular lines, mainly because, well, first off, this time we can just find the slope based on 2 points. I'm going to trust that you guys all know how to do this. Slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This will equal 2 over 7. And the reason why parallel lines are a lot easier to work with is because we just work with the same slope. We don't have to think about negative reciprocals. And again, just like the last one, we can just solve for y with this equation given here. X minus by equals 3. You just solve it out like normal, and you'll end up with y equals a over b x minus 3 over b. Now, just know that a over b will equal 2 over 7, and also keep in mind that means that b equals 7. So we can actually fill in that b on the y-intercept here to get y equals 2 over 7, x minus 3 over 7. Now, the answer choices want us to put it in x plus y format, so that's what we'll do. We'll just multiply everything by 7 to get 7y equals 2x minus 3. Move the 2x on the other side. And none of the answer choices match this, but you can multiply this by negative 1 to get 2x minus 7 equals positive 3 for a correct answer. Okay, now we have this question here, number of waters. This one is on the easier side, I'd say. Not sure why it's labeled as difficult. But we have sports drinks costing $8 and a water costing $1. And Lauren spent a total of $88. So we can set up this equation with two variables. And we have 8 times S for our sports drinks, plus 1 water for that W. You don't need to write one of a variable, so you can just leave it as W. And we do know that she purchased 6 packs of sports drinks, so that's 6, or S equals 6, and you just plug it in, and you'll end up with 48 plus W equals 88. You solve for W, and you'll end up with W equals 40. Okay, movie tickets. This is a very common question, pretty similar to the other one. We have $9 adult tickets and $6 children's tickets with a total of $315. And we do know that C equals 15. Again, just like the last one, you plug it in. 9A plus 6 times 15 equals 315. You'll end up with 9A plus 90. You solve for A, and you'll end up with A equals 25. That's how many adult tickets they sold. Okay, draining a pool. This one's more conceptual. So a family is draining their pool for maintenance. The water flows out of the pool at a constant rate. The equation above shows the relationship between X, the number of minutes that have passed, and Y, the number of gallons of water remaining in the pool. What does X equals 1,125 and Y equals 0 mean as a solution to this equation? So we have to really keep in mind what X and Y equal here. X is the number of minutes that have passed since the draining started. Y is the number of gallons left in the pool. And you don't have to, but if you do actually plug in that X, you'll find that X will equal 10,800, and again, Y will equal 0. So again, X is the number of minutes that have passed since the draining started. And like I said, if you plug in X and plug in Y, you will just get that answer. And this one's more conceptual. Try and think about what that 10,800 means as a context of this problem and how X relates to it. And if you really think about it, Y is the number of gallons of water remaining in the pool, and you can't end up draining negative gallons, which is why it caps at 0. And this shows us that it takes 1,125 minutes to completely empty the pool, because that's how many minutes it takes for the number of gallons of water to equal 0. Okay, rate of change, another conceptual question, nothing too hard on paper. We have a y equals ax plus b, and if you think about it in the slope-intercept format, a here is our slope. And we're figuring out how does y change when x is increased by 1. So we can just try plugging it in. We have x equals 1, 2, and 3. And you'll find that the answer increases by a. You'll end up with a, 2a, 3a, and so on. You'll find that when you have x plus 1, y increases by a. That's the only difference here, and that's our correct answer. Okay, last question here. We have number of pizzas. The graph shows us the cost for a given amount of pizzas. Use the graph to determine an equation to determine the total cost of 30 pizzas needed to feed a football team. So this one is fill in the blank, not multiple choice. So this time we'll have to solve for it. And first thing you should do is just figure out what we're looking for. So we're looking for the total cost of 30 pizzas, and we want that as x value, which is this bottom line, to equal 30, except it cuts off at 5, which is why we need to find the slope here, and we can do that by doing rise over run. Now be very careful about the units. We go up 20, and we go to the right only 1. So when you do rise over run, we find that our slope is 20, and again, we are looking for 30 pizzas, which the number of pizzas is our x value. So you can just plug it in, and you'll end up getting the answer of 600 pizzas. Okay, hope this was helpful. And again, if you like the video, like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave your comments down below.